Well, hello, and thank you for joining us for Redefining Real Estate. This week we have fantastic guests, so I want to make sure that we reach out and ask you guys if you need anything or you need us to help you during this time in the season. I know it's been absolutely crazy year. We're almost done with it, so that's a great thing. But if we can help you in real estate or just be a word of encouragement, we definitely want to do that and extend that. So our prayers are with you and your families, and for this holiday season and going forward. So we become a wonderful family and a group of people, and we have a group of people that are fantastic that we're out to serve and help one another. So without further ado, let me introduce Lyndon Wilson, my co-host, fantastic friend.
What's up, Brian?
Lyndon, how are you this morning?
I am great. How are you doing? I'm here.
Lyndon may be with us. There you go. How are you doing?
I'm good. I've been here about 5 minutes. You didn't
Well,
see
you
me.
know, I figured you were. I don't know why I have a little bit of delay. It's probably because of that Arkansas Cup in the background. Because
Go Hogs.
I don't know, but we have a lot of Razorbacks here today with us, so excited about that. We're just going to keep that Arkansas theme. By the way, my younger brother, which I only have one, and he's younger, so. The other brother, Daryl.
That makes sense,
right?
Yeah.
No. So we have he was actually born in Arkansas, so there's some good things about Arkansas.
Yes, there is.
Even tied to our family. So we have some great guests. Brian Rudy with Grand Homes and Freddie Rodriguez.
Let me bring them in.
Hey, Brian.
There they are.
Hey, Lyndon.
Hey, guys. How are you?
What's up, fellas?
Good. Thanks for having us on the show.
Good morning.
Excited to have you.
So we've had just in the very beginning, behind the scenes, we had some really good laughs already. So I know that we're going to have a fantastic show. But first and foremost, Brian, I want you to tell everybody who you are and introduce yourself and let everybody get to know you a little bit.
Okay. Well, my name is Brian Rooney. I'm a sales associate for Grand Homes right now. I've been with Grand Homes about 3 years, but I've been in the home building business for 29 years. Started off on the construction side, worked my way up to, management, and then just decided one day that management wasn't any fun anymore. And because with all the problems that I was dealing with, and I was like, how can I circumvent this? So to be on the front line as a sales associate is the most important part of the home building process, because you're the front line, and the way you communicate with the customers, the way you handle their issues and all that makes the whole process a lot easier.
Awesome.
So I'm out in the estates of Verona, which is in McKinney, Texas. You can reach me on my cell or email me, and I think Lyndon will be putting that information on the screen. So just home building has been in my blood, so that's all I know what to do.
That's fantastic, and I find it really interesting, Brian. You know, in management, which has a whole different hat and responsibilities, which is important to us, but being in the trenches that we can have a direct contact with the consumer, I can tell you that it's part of my passion for the industry
Yes.
to do that as well. So, Freddie, tell us about who you are and what you do, and you have a vast wealth of knowledge for the real estate industry as well.
Yes, sir. Hey, everybody. Freddie Rodriguez here. Dreamline Windows and Doors. Do outside sales and special projects. I have been in the real estate industry for about 15 plus years. And let me apologize as well for this camera, because normally my face isn't this fat, and I don't know what this white stuff is here, but normally not there. I started off.
I'm curious, Freddie. If it's normally not there,
Yeah.
What happened? Help me understand there.
I had
lighting,
some
that's
powdered
what it is.
donuts. I had some powdered donuts. And I guess I didn't clean it off.
Well, okay.
It won't come off now. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I've started off in the industry in land surveying, and here's what I'm best known for as well. Land surveying, all the way through. I've made a lot of improvements in land surveying. When I started out in surveying, everybody got what's called blue lines. So you get a survey and everything was blue. I made the surveys color to make it more noticeable. I ended up putting digital pictures of the people's property on the survey so they could notice it, and on and on. I kept making advancements, and I did that by asking people, asking my clients what would make the survey better for them, what would make it a better value, what would make it easier. Everything from turn times to pricing, everything that I could think of to make it better, I did and implemented that, and grew our company from a pretty good sized company to a giant company, and stayed in that same boat everywhere I went. I went into the title industry and worked in emerging markets. So emerging markets, I got to learn a lot about different people and how they their needs and how I could help their needs and help them, educate them and mentor them, as you talked about, getting them up to speed on what they need to know. And it was it felt very fulfilling helping people. So I really enjoyed that. And then back into surveying. And from surveying now, I've moved into Dreamline windows and doors. In all the construction areas, construction things that I've worked on, being able to sell windows and doors and building products as well, just makes it so much easier because now I have information and knowledge about everything else that goes around it. So helping people from every aspect, from from the home warranty to title to surveying, all the way up into the products they want to put on their houses. I was also on the founding board of NAREP, president of NAREP. I serve I'm a member of ARIA, which is the Asian Association of Real Estate Professionals. Everywhere I can be to help people, it's what I really love to do. It's what I enjoy most about it. I've been known to play the harmonica, ukulele.
We're going to talk about your band stuff here in a little bit, your extracurricular here, but I can just tell you with all four of us on this show today, we always want to help people. I mean, that has been, if I could look at you, Lyndon, which we've been friends and we talk almost daily, and Brian Rooney and Freddie Rodriguez, all four of us have this part of our being that wants to reach out and help people. We want to make things better. We want to ask the needs. We want to address the concerns. We always want to improve. And that's what I love about you guys and being on the show together, because you bring that energy, you bring that passion, you bring that excitement about turning our eyes away from ourselves and turning them on to other people so we can help and we can bless and we can serve. And that's fantastic. Lyndon, do you have any opening thoughts, comments?
You and I talked, Brian, the other day about the real estate industry. Obviously, I've been around it for 20 plus years now. And one of the things that, and it was put into context for me by what we're doing with the difference, what we're trying to do with the difference for small businesses and entrepreneurs and people in the real estate business. But you and I talked a little bit about how we need to be reminded or have some awareness that we need to try to humanize the real estate industry versus commercialize it. I think that we've gotten away from that. I think that a lot of what we do gives the perception that it's unpersonal. It's about numbers and everything's about numbers. Just call your electric company and ask them about the numbers. Everything's about numbers. We have numbers to meet. But what I love about what you're doing with the redefining real estate, Brian, is you are just like bringing Brian Rooney on and bringing Freddie on. You're bringing the people on that have a heart for what they do, and therefore you're accentuating and bringing awareness to the human side of this industry. And I think that the consumer appreciates that. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. So when we're bringing the heart of the matter back to it. Let's start the show off with the passion. So I have basically five guidelines or five criteria that I talk about all the time. And that number one is having this crazy passion about the real estate industry. So Brian, let's start with you. What brought you into the real estate industry, and what drives your passion?
Well, like I said, I started off on the construction side. So knowing how to build the home and how to construct it was just, when you're starting with a piece of dirt and then a day you see the families, living into that home. I mean, that just, to me was, just a wonderful experience. And I remember one time when my kids, I have two boys, when they were little, I took them in the truck one day and I drove around a couple of my neighborhoods, and I said, look, son, this is what I did. I created this. I built this. And look at all these families, walking around and stuff. And so that's stuck with my boys. So, my oldest one now, he is, pursuing a career in new home sales. He just got hired on. So he's in training now. So like I said, it's been in my blood. And just seeing the people at the end of the day, and knowing that that's their dream home, and they're raising a family, they're growing, and then they're going to their next home. So you want to keep that relationship. So when they are ready for that next home, they reach out and call, because they trust me. And like you said, my whole thing is just helping the people find the right home for them, find the right community, the right fit, keep them within their budget. And by doing that, you have to do a lot of deep discovery. You have to really get to know them and know what their hot buttons are. What do they hate about where they live now, and how you can help them get out of that situation and get into a positive situation. In this pandemic, a lot of people are realizing, the home that they're in doesn't suit their needs anymore. Because of the way we've changed our lifestyles and the way we're living in the homes now. So as part of the home builders, what they're doing is they're trying to create those spaces. Like we call it at Grand Homes, we call them life spaces. So it's a room in the home to where today it could be an office or a study, or it could be a library, or it could be a workout room, or you could turn it into a media room or a classroom that a lot of these, with the kids at home now. And that room you can change throughout as your lifestyle changes. So that's one of the things that we've done at Grand Homes to really help with today's market and how I think we're going to live in homes, for the future. I don't think this is going to change too much with a lot of companies allowing the businesses to work at home. So, and then with the homeschooling right now, I feel sorry for these parents that have small kids. I don't know how they're doing that. I'm glad mine are older and I don't have to worry about that. So, so that's, there's a lot that goes into the passion of it. And it changes too, as the market changes. So,
Sure. So, and it revolves around people and families, and that's fantastic. I want to show some other outlets that it does impact and creates positive flows for our economy, even in our neighborhoods or communities, cities, etc. So, Freddie, tell us about your passion. What brought you in to this industry, and what really fuels your passion?
Well, starting out in the surveying business, I didn't know anything about real estate. As I started to learn and started to grow in it, then I started to move into different things. And going into NAREP is where my eyes really started to open up. When I started to see all the families that were in need, and shocking to see how many people were being taken advantage of by a predatory, I guess, predators everywhere, taking advantage of people and giving them false hope for buying houses when all they were really doing was stealing their money or just steering them in the wrong direction. When I was able to go through and help people and show them, different people they could go to trust, that I trusted and I referred to, and seeing them happy and so appreciative when they get their homes, it was amazing. It felt really good. So being able to go through and help people and guide people, even if they weren't buying anything from me, just being able to know that, hey, yeah, I helped this person. Uh, and kind of like before, or like Brian mentioned, uh, I'd start going by with my kids and I'd point out everywhere. I'm like, oh yeah, I surveyed that. I surveyed that. One of the last survey projects I worked on was actually the new Ranger Stadium and the Lowe's whole theater. I mean, not theater, the hotel and everything out there. So that's one of my favorite things to talk about. Yeah, I surveyed that. But being able to help people and going into title, working into emerging markets, even better. And I got to go and talk and keynote and help people and guide people through things, what to look out for, and where they can go to trust, who they can go talk to. In ARIA, the same thing, the Asian Association, they can go through. We help and we mentor people. I started going into Habitat for Humanity. And different things around the community, everywhere I could be to go help. Whether it was cleaning people's yards. I think they were elderly people that were getting cited by the cities who couldn't go out and fix their yard. So we went out and we did all their yard cleanup and did all that stuff for them. It was just for the appreciation. We didn't ask for money. We didn't ask for anything else. Helping people just felt so good. And I've been doing it ever since.
And I have found that real estate, and you made a great point, Freddie, is that when you got into surveying, you didn't know anything about real estate. But as you got into the real estate industry, the true vein of real estate, actually, when you start to wake up and you start to open up your eyes, it has amazing potential to impact families, lives, businesses, neighborhoods, communities, the economy in the area, all sorts of things that the real estate world and the real estate industry has the potential to impact. And when your eyes open and your heart is receptive, you get that passion, you get that desire, because you see your first family helped and they're excited, or you see that community that you helped to build, to establish, to create, like you mentioned, Brian. And you also see the commercial aspect of it around, all the restaurants or small business owners that get to set up shop around those communities, that they also get blessed by it. So I think it's a fantastic industry. I don't think we talk about the passion near enough on it. It becomes more transactional. Do you know of anybody who wants to buy or sell a house? Nothing wrong with that question. But when you get right down into the trenches, like Brian, you went from management back into the trenches. So when we get into the trenches of it, we actually see the true power to impact lives, families, and help leave a legacy. Lyndon, you've spent many years. I'm going to kind of tap into your coaching here. You spent many years working, starting with the credit industry, and then started coaching real estate professionals. What gave you the passion for this industry?
Well, getting into credit, obviously, and I've told that story before. I was in mortgage and got to experience a lot of people's disappointment for not being able to exercise their dream, right? Not be able to be a homeowner, be just the rejection and all of that. And when I started to understand credit more, and I realized that I had the opportunity to help people with their credit and to realize that dream. I've told this story before. It's one of the most impactful stories that I had when I first started in mortgage. This lady called me and she was crying. And I'd been doing some credit repair at the time, but she was crying because she had been leasing this home for 5 years. She really loved the home. She didn't know anything about credit. She didn't know anything about finance. She didn't know anything about mortgage, but she knew that she had just been turned down. So she's crying because she can't qualify for the home, and the landlord is going to sell it and gave her first option. So we started working on her credit, and the story goes like this. My first conversation with her, she was crying. My last, which is really not my last, we've communicated since then, but my last conversation with her, she was crying because she had just gotten the keys with the mortgage to the brand new home. And that hooked me right there. At that point was when I said, I want to fix credit rather than do mortgages, because this is where I felt like I could make the biggest impact. And Brian, ever since then, meeting people like you, Brian Rooney, Freddie, the guests that you've had on your show, I love the passion. And I think that growing up as a child, I admired real estate agents. I admired people in the real estate industry. I felt like that they had a certain sophistication to them. They had a certain knowledge to them. They had this persona that I really respected. And as I got older, and when I was in mortgage and credit repair, I felt like that kind of the whole industry got away from that a little bit. And I don't blame the industry. Our culture has gone more into the transactional than the relational. But what attracted me was people like you guys and others that never veered away from the relational part, that you did want to help people, that you got as much out of helping them as you did the commission check that we all need and have to have for our families. So that's been my passion about the industry, and I've tried to break away from it several times, and it keeps pulling me back because I just don't feel like I can make the impact around me that I can anywhere else but this industry.
That's great, and I've tried to get out of it a couple of times. I don't know if you guys have, but I have. I'm like, oh my gosh, we've got to go.
It can be frustrating,
but even through the frustration and through the complications or whatever we see, the turbulence, whatever we want to call it, we gravitate back. Why do we gravitate back? It's because the passion for helping others, serving others, and that brings tangible results, brings satisfaction. It is really, really exciting. Not that other industries don't do that, because they do. But when we can raise that professional standard in our industry, that we're going out for the greater good of our neighborhoods, our families, our communities, it ignites something inside of me that I love. And then being in a group of professionals such as Freddie and you, Lyndon, and you, Brian, having that brotherhood, having that group of professionals, I want to tell you, it makes it even better. So let's go first. Let me give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Bavette Grill. Bavette Grill allows us to do what we're doing and broadcast the show on a weekly basis. If you have eaten at Bavette Grill or have not eaten at Bavette Grill, I would encourage you to go back. The service, the ownership, everything about them are fantastic. Fantastic group of people. We want to support our local businesses and share with you how much they mean to us, not only as sponsors, but as professionals in the industry that are truly providing a fantastic service. The Bavette Grill is a wonderful place. My wife and I love to eat there. So encourage you to go there, mention that you've heard about Bavette Grill on Redefining Real Estate or The Difference, and you will have a free appetizer. So enjoy that. Thank you again, Bavette Grill, for being a sponsor. You guys, if you are a small business owner and would like to inquire about sponsorships, and we can help you out by giving your business and a shout out on our show that would help you and increase the exposure, we'd be more than happy to do so. Please mention it in the comments, and we'll make sure that we get a hold of you. Just give us the right contact information, and we'll follow up. So let's move on to our next point, guys. And by the way, for everyone watching, Brian Rooney did ask me how long the show was, and I told him today it was going to be 3 hours because we were really excited. But but we're going to break that down. We're just going to do an hour today, and then we'll do an hour next week. So we look at the education portion of this. So one, we have a passion for our industry. Number two, we educate, and I believe in educating the consumer. I really believe that we need to have more education on that. And Freddie, you were with NAREP for a while, and that's a National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, an organization that I was a part of back, I guess, a year or so ago as well, and loved the premise of education. So start us off on educating. Why is it important now, probably more than ever before, that we begin to emphasize the education for consumers?
I think education is always key for everything. So many people coming in, and so many new families coming into this country have no idea how things work, have no idea where to turn, and being able to go out and educate these people, anybody who's interested in knowing what they need to know, just makes for a better consumer, makes everything better all the way around. They know what they need to do. We know what we need to do to help them. It just makes the entire process that much better and more streamlined for everyone. So then everyone is happy. Everyone is feeling good about what they're doing. We did a lot of home buying fairs. I think at one time we set up a home buying fair at the Dallas Zoo and gave out free tickets to the kids, so the parents would come out and bring their kids. And it was a great success. People would come through. We had tents set up. The trash guy outside.
You have a lot of activity around there, Freddie. I want to tell you, thank God that you sell windows, because it sounds like they're going to come through the window.
I was just wondering the same thing. Right here in Allen, Texas, folks. It's it was very nice to help people. Always so nice to see their faces and seeing their eyes open when they learned something that they didn't know. They had a belief that it worked one way, and when you explain to them how it works, and they're like, "Oh my God, I had no idea. Thank you so much for helping us." And in turn, helping all these people, it helps me as well. Aside from being fulfilled and happy to this day, much. I have people calling me daily, and I have no clue how they got my number. It comes from word of mouth to word of mouth to word of mouth. We can play 6 Degrees of Freddie in the real estate industry, and it comes back to where I've been. It's been great. So helping people has always been my number one thing. To this day, I'm selling windows and doors and building products, but people will still call me about surveying. Hey, I have a question about surveying. I think I did a couple of weeks ago. I did a surveying 101 class for Century 21 real estate or realtors, which was a great class as well. So even though that's not what I'm doing, I'm still helping and educating the realtors, so they become more educated and know what to ask for. A lot of times I have people that would call me and they said they were advised against getting a survey because it costs too much, and I'm like, well, you know what? This is a property you're buying. This is a huge investment. You need to know what you're buying. Don't let them tell you. This isn't where you want to save a buck. You want to get to know everything that you're buying, everything you're purchasing, so that you don't get the raw deal in the end. Educating my realtors helps as well.
Right. So the education process, again, one of my cornerstones in my business is to educate people on how to own a home. And we don't educate that much on owning a home, but I think we should educate more on owning a home, how to sell a home and how to buy a home. And we do a lot of home buyer seminars. And the home buyer seminars have been a popular thing for a number of years. We actually teach an educated buyer, educated seller series that teaches people how to own, how to sell, and how to buy in that order. So now they're well-rounded when they know what they're getting. Freddie, especially from the survey, are there encroachments? Are there easement issues? Are there, what happened to the pool out back, or that nice, cool building that we want to build. I mean, there's so many different things that the survey is going to show us. So, Brian, on education, because you went from building, getting new construction, all the way to management, and then back into the trenches to work directly to the consumer. And I know from our discussions in the past, education's been top for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. When people come into my model, I spend a lot of time on explaining the whole process of buying a home. First you got to, the contract, and you got to, the earnest money deposit. Then you go to the design center, pick out all your selections. Then before we start construction of your home, we're going to meet with you, make sure that everybody's on the same page and we're building the right home for you. Before we sheetrock the home, they come out and we walk the buyers, make sure that everything that they selected is in that home and it's in the right spot before we sheetrock the home, so we don't have to be ripping out sheetrock at the end when they're going, oh, this isn't right, this isn't right. So we try, and then the biggest thing is before we close on the home, the buyers meet with the builder and our warranty rep, and they walk through the home with the warranty rep, and they show where everything is located, how everything functions, what the warranty is on each thing, because even people that have bought a home before, things change. And my market, I'm 650 and up, so a lot of mine are second and third time home buyers, or they're first time home buyers with a lot of money, which I'm seeing a lot of that lately. These younger people that never bought a home before, and they come in my model with like deer in the headlight look. So it's just guiding them through the process, because obviously when you're buying a home, it's very emotional for them. They're going through all sorts of different emotions. They're scared. They don't want to ask stupid questions. They don't want to look like they don't know what they're doing. So you have to just read them out and help them and guide them through the process, because it's very emotional, and it's the biggest investment they're going to make in their entire life, and it's for their family. So you want it to be a positive experience instead of them being scared and being a negative experience. So, and it's by educating them and setting expectations as well throughout the process.
I got a quick question, Brian Dobbs, if you don't mind, for Freddie and for Brian. How important is it in this education process? And Brian Dobbs answered for me as well.
Thank you.
In educating, how important is it to educate them so that you do establish realistic expectations? Because if people have unrealistic expectations, it's a pathway to disappointment and frustration, and that just makes our job harder. So what would your thoughts be on that, as far as that being one of the primary objectives of education?
I think it's very important, and when educating people, I would always refer them to the professionals in the industry that they're looking for or needing education in. If they had questions about, being approved for a loan, or how do they go about getting ready for a loan, I'd either refer them to a great loan officer that I know or worked with, or a credit repair specialist that I've worked with if they've already been turned down. Whatever it was they were looking for, I would refer them to the professional of that industry that I have worked with and I trusted, so that I went through, and I'd also follow up with them to make sure they were getting everything they needed to get. And if they would call me back and said they still weren't getting anywhere, then we take it from that step and say, well, let's find out what we need to do. Take them to whatever professional it was. I work with a lot of professionals, and people that I've trusted and worked with for years. Brian is a really good buddy of mine, so I know I can refer anybody I need to Brian. You guys, I loved Grand Homes. Wow, those are great homes.
Thank you.
But and my buddy Lyndon's a Razorback, so what else can I say? We got everything good there.
Absolutely.
But it's very important to me that they do have real expectations, that if they have a 400 credit score, there's really nothing we can do to get them in that home right away. So the first place we need to start is establishing a good credit score. So
right.
Going through the steps that they need to take, taking them to that professional that can help them get through that point. so that they know what to expect and a timeline, maybe about how long it'll take for them to get where they need to get, so that they're not going to hit stumbling blocks. They know what to expect.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
education is key.
Fantastic. So we talked about pre-approval education. So education in the pre-approval process, the prior to right before you purchase it, and then you have your education on purchasing the house. What education would you give us for home ownership? What should we be seeking out there right now, especially in times like this?
Well, as far as the home ownership
Can't
process,
be like a way curveball for you guys.
That's actually a really good question. I like that question.
yeah, as far as the home ownership, as far as the education of that, it's a lot to, there's so many things that go into it. I mean, you've got, the maintenance of your home, how to take care of it. What can you do, as far as repairs and stuff like that, and, who to go to. What happens, where's, the water cut off, and, in case you get a plumbing leak in your house, you got to shut the water off to it. So, that type of, when you're owning a home, you want to make sure that you're taking care of it and maintaining it and keeping up the integrity and the value of it. Because if you let it go, then it's you're decreasing the value of your home and your investment, and you're hurting yourself.
Right. And we just lost Brian. He'll jump back on in a second, but I want to follow that up. When in selling a home, Brian Runny, is it important to highlight the features that can be more cost effective for a home ownership than maybe some of the homes that were built previously that don't have those features especially in today's market?
Oh, absolutely. That's
and he's
part
back.
There he is. Hey, Brian.
Well, I just had to I took a 15-second station identification
bathroom break.
regardless if I needed one or not.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things as far as when I'm meeting with a customer is explaining, like with Grand Homes, all of our homes are 100% Energy Star certified. We build a little bit different than most builders in DFW. We do 2x6 exterior walls instead of 2x4. We wrap the entire home with reflective sheathing. We do the radiant barrier decking. The windows that we use have an argon gas to them, so it reflects 97% of the radiant heat. So what that means for the homeowner is they're going to save a lot of money on their utility bills with Grand Homes, and if they bought an existing home, an older home that doesn't have any of that. So, our homes, you can have a 4,500 square foot home, and your utility bill is going to be about $150 a month.
That's incredible.
And it's just because of the way that we construct our homes, and we're the only builder that does all of those things in the Metroplex. And that's one of the things I love about Grand is they put high quality into their homes, and also cost savings to the homeowner when they move in. So, if you buy a home that doesn't have all that stuff, well, over 20 years, you're going to be spending another $90,000, $100,000 just in utility bills. And people
Right.
don't understand that in the beginning. So that's part of the education process that I do as well.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Our window guru here in our office has a saying that if your windows are older than 18 to 20 years, the most expensive windows you can buy for your house, or the most expensive windows that you can get, are the ones that are already on your house, meaning of all the heating and air that's escaping and coming in through your windows. It's costing you more than you getting replacement windows put on your house.
Yep.
So that's one thing that they also need to know.
Good.
So, and me jumping in again, my 15-second station identification escape route there. And Freddie, by the way, we'll just talk about escaping later, but that's just how you do it. So you don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to show where you go. You're just out.
You're just out.
It might not have been the smartest move for him to jump on a live stream, though, right after he escaped. I'm just saying.
True.
Well, like I said, the face is a little fatter, and the white hair. Nobody will recognize me.
Okay, got you.
Those powdered donuts. Dude, stay away from the powdered donuts. Go with glaze. So one of the things when we're talking about educating, we educate a lot about payment. How much can you afford? But when we go into home ownership, Brian, you mentioned a great. Both Brian and Freddie, you mentioned great points there. When we could save money in the purchase because of the electricity, because of heating, AC, all of those things come into play, that we made a great purchase, that we're actually saving ourselves money. But then when you look at homes, are we doing the right maintenance? Are we teaching that maintenance around a home? Because you're gonna have to own it now. Now you have to know how to take care of it. It's not like a car where you just drive it into the dealership. We can't drive our house, Brian, after we purchase it from you, straight into the dealership of Grand Homes and say, hey, listen, our carburetor, our alternators, our engine lights on. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So in educating our homeowners, then we have better home ownership. My personal opinion, we have better communities because we're teaching them how to maintain. So we have highest and best use of a house. We have economic factors of a home, and then you have a social impact. Because when your neighbor's house looks good and your house looks good, then the integrity of the neighborhood stays up because people know how to own homes. And that's one of the things that I emphasize a lot in my business is home ownership. If you know how to own it, then you know how to sell it. You know what the market's going to be. The ups and the downs, and what should I learn about that? What should I be privy to? What are the things that are coming into our area that might help the resale of my home, that when I sell it, I am positioned to generate additional income. I can create wealth, or I can increase cash flow. And we teach in our seminar, we teach those components, that it's so much more than just having a house, because all three of you mentioned it is an investment that we bought. We've just bought. Monday Night Football is going like crazy over there, Freddie. I want to tell you. And it's Tuesday.
And it's Tuesday. Yeah.
It is.
Brian, one thing that I wanted to jump in on that people may not really think about, what Brian, Runny, and Freddie was saying about the windows and about the 2x6 walls. If you are reducing the cost of energy each month, you're also taking a load off of your air conditioner and your heating units, which that would allow them to last a lot longer. And then that's one of the big expenses that I think that a lot of people do have, especially moving into pre-existing homes, is unless you talk to somebody like Julie Altimus and has a good home warranty, you could run into trouble. And good plug there for Julie. Let's do it. Anyway, but those are things that I think when we're educating our consumers, that makes sense to them. They get that, they understand that, and I think those things are really, really important.
Yep, I agree. So let's jump into the third aspect that we want to talk about. We talked about passion, we talked about education, we'll talk about mentoring, because I am a firm believer that mentoring in our industry is critical to keep the professional standards high, to keep to keep the industry in tune with the market needs, and the market needs in tune with the industry. So how are you guys, and I know Freddie, you talked about teaching classes to other agents, how are you utilizing the mentorship and sharing best practices, collaboration in the industry, that becomes, again, one of the top things that you guys are doing? Or why do you feel it's important? It's a lot of questions.
It's a lot of questions, yeah.
Get better, Freddie. You should hear Lyndon. He asked me like 8 questions in a paragraph, and I have to remember them all.
Okay, so yes, it is very important. Now I forgot the question.
Mentoring.
Which question did you forget?
Exactly. I forgot questions 1, 2, and 3.
So just answer 4 will be fine.
Okay. So about the mentoring, yeah, it's very important. I think that's what the question was. because it continues to grow. Once I've helped someone, they in turn help someone else, and then hopefully those people in turn help someone else, and it starts to grow and create a big blossom from what we started with. The little seed that we planted hopefully grows and grows and spreads, and more people become educated, and then less shows I have to do.
Well, you are really funny. So when we talk about this, let me just clarify this, because apparently I muddied the water there. So when we look at the industries involved in real estate, have you guys ever taken the time just to count how many industries, how many unique individual professional jobs there are that affect the real estate industry?
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
Yeah.
Well, there's 182,000 parts that go into building a home.
How many?
182,000.
182,000 parts. That's the first time I've heard that number, Brian.
Mine too.
I'm going to use that. Where did that come from?
That's from the resources that our corporate office provides.
Okay, 182,000 parts in building a home.
Yes.
And the top two things that we learn about when purchasing a home is credit and buying power.
Right.
So we are lacking the 180,000, right, that we need in there. So that's an amazing number, Brian.
Yeah.
On that.
Yep. So, and as far as the mentoring that we're talking about, I look as building a team. Even though I'm with Grand Homes, I look as building a team. And my team consists of
Oh
realtors, suppliers, vendors. Julie over at Super Warranty. She gets another plug, Lyndon.
She's gonna love that.
And it's like we've talked about it, Brian. Our tribe.
Yep.
And as we grow, I offer CE courses at the model, and I'll have, Justin Payne come out with Payne Insurance and give, a class. We have the surveying company come out and give. And it's really amazing because there's so many realtors out there that are just getting into the business that they have no guidance, no leadership. And so if I can foster a relationship with those realtors and help them with their career, obviously that's going to help me, and just build those relationships. And that's part of the mentorship is building the relationships as well.
And we have all been in this industry for quite a while. Rooney, I think you said 29 years. Is that right?
Yes, 29 years.
Okay, that's quite some time. I shared 26 years.
I started when I was 10.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. And then, Freddie, you have 15 years.
Yeah, 15 plus, and I'm sticking with that.
Okay, that's good. And that's just we'll have you on next year, and it will still be 15 years. I'm good with that. And then Lyndon, you have quite a few years.
21. I think Freddie's 15 to 20. Isn't that how it goes?
I think it is.
I think that was.
Freddie's going to give me a range. So, which is fine.
Freddie's doing 15 to 20, or he was at least up to yesterday.
How long have you been married? Oh, about 15, 20 years, something like that.
Somewhere around there.
So it's all good. So, but having the camaraderie like we have and being able to collaborate and to be able to share best practices, but also to share needs. And that was one of the points that you made in the very beginning, Freddie, is that you wanted to ask, whether it's your consumer, your customer, whether it's somebody else, what would make this process better? And that's the greatest part about our tribe, Brian, that you mentioned, building that community, that tribe, is we are always asking ourselves and the people that we're working with, what can we do to make this better? What can we do to make it easier or make it easier to understand? What can we do with this process, the system, the infrastructure? What can we do with our teammates that we're always bettering that? And I have found that as we encourage one another and as we better one another in our industry, then we become so much better and so much better equipped in going out in the trenches and being able to help that consumer, being able to understand and pull from other people's experiences, other people's strengths and gift mixes, that it makes us a powerful force in the economy, and it makes us a powerful force in our neighborhoods and our communities. I love it. I love what we're doing. I love the growth, and especially the what you said, tribe that we're building, because we are building a professional community.
You know, Brian, you just said something that I think is really cool too, is when you talked about camaraderie. I mean, that when you have that camaraderie, like you're talking about with this group, and, you know, Brian, Ronnie mentioned Dustin Payne. I know Dustin. It creates a positive energy when everybody's working together. We all enjoy. I mean, we're having a good time on this show today. We enjoy working together and getting to interact with each other. You know, so when you have a fun, enjoyable atmosphere, that's gonna be contagious to the buyer or the seller, right? They're gonna feel that vibe. They really are. If you're working with a lot of people that you don't know and you're not comfortable with, I think that kind of it's either going to be a positive or a negative. And I think that that's something that this industry can benefit from, is good relationships, and being able to work with people you enjoy working with and have a little bit of fun. And I think Brian Ronnie said this before, that it's a very stressful thing to buy or sell a home. So if we can bring some comfort and some enjoyment and a little bit of, you know, fun to the process, I think that goes a long way. Number one, in referrals, but, you know, obviously satisfying that client too.
Absolutely. One of the things that I have found is that, you know, we know each other from a personal basis or a professional basis, but getting into this industry and knowing somebody from a personal basis is really important as well. Freddie, you do, you know, I worked with Freddie and when I was at NARREP and working with sitting on their board, and and then we found out, Freddie, that you sing, and you have a rock band and a country band, and Freddie does more than windows, guys. I want to tell you, Freddie actually has this gig on the backside. Once you get to know him, I think he operates as a comedian in one venue, and then he does the music in the other. But his whole family, you know, met his sister and his parents. They fantastic musicians, so really enjoyed that. But that's something fun. So, and Brian, and let me close this up, because Freddie, I want you to talk about 1 minute about your band here in just a second. But first and foremost, let me thank you guys for being on the program today. You guys are hysterical. You're great. You're fun. I love working with you. I love being able to chat, and we have basically our coffee talk and in scenarios like this. But we are the same backstage as we are right now, and that's what I love about you guys, and that's fun. So thank you again, Brian. If you guys have any needs for new home construction, reach out to Brian. Let him know that you heard about Grand Homes and his subdivision on Redefining Real Estate. We always want to make sure that we're keeping track of people listening and where they're going, and so we can help you. Again, how can we make this thing better? Freddie, so tell us one thing about your band. Are you playing now, or are you still, what's COVID done to the band yet? So are you back out in action?
Unfortunately not. Most of the bars and restaurants that we played at are still not bringing things back in. So I'm thinking about doing some game show hosting. That'd be pretty good at the moment, but some studio work.
Huh? That's good. So you can turn the letters on Wheel of Fortune.
Well, I was more like, that's right, Brian. Now let me show you what you've won, and bring it. But I really miss it. I really enjoyed it. Every chance I get to do it. Unfortunately, just this is the times we haven't been able to do any of it. And I have a studio at home that I'd work in, but my wife, Amy, has turned my studio into the storage room. So I can't get in there. Christmas decoration boxes and things like that, and I'm like, man, I can't even get into my own studio. We'll take it up to the attic.
Freddie, come see me. You need a new home.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. This is time to upgrade.
Yep. I got 4 lots. I only have 4 lots left in the states of Verona, so hurry up and come see me.
Brian, I'll call you later.
All right.
They are at Grand Homes. They're creating living spaces.
That's right.
So
I saw your Grand Home model in Murphy, and I tell you what I love the most about that model. When I went out back and they had a nice putting green set up out there, and I thought, wow, this is cool.
Yep.
I did enjoy it.
Yep. Good. Good.
Amy might turn that into something different too. So
yeah, a garden.
By the way, you give our hellos and shout out to Amy, because she's a rock star. Oh my gosh. So that we have a lot of fun. So guys, I appreciate you very much. Lyndon, thank you for all the hard work you've done on the difference of making this radio show and radio station amazing. And I know that you're growing that, and we support you in any and every way we can.
Thank you.
Do you have any closing statements that you'd like to say?
No, Brian, Ronnie, good to see you again. Freddie, good to see you again. This was a fun show. I enjoyed it. Hope a lot of people got as much out of it as I did. Thank you guys for being on here, and Brian Dobbs, thank you for being a part of the difference. And what we're created to bring the awareness to the small business owner, the local businesses, the real estate industry, people that are looking to get more exposure and recognition and get their story out there and let people really know who they are, not just what they do. And Brian, you're doing a great job of that. I really appreciate it. I love redefining real estate. You know how I feel about that, and I think you're doing a great job with that as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And guys, again, thank you so much for being on the program. And everyone who listens today, if you have a desire to be on the program, give me a call. Let me know if you would like to be if we could give a shout out to your charity, your foundation, your organization, your business. We want to be able to help you and increase that exposure. So if you'd like to be a guest on our show, or if you would just like some sponsorship shout outs, we are happy to do that here at Redefining Real Estate. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's show, Redefining Real Estate. I'm Brian Dobbs, and I'll see you next week.
The Difference is a proud supporter of the following nonprofits. Creek and Timber Legacy, providing outdoor learning, hunting, and firearm therapy for veterans, first responders, and children with serious illness. You can find more info at creekandtimberlegacy.org. And Sharp Shoes. Through local schools and shelters, Sharp Shoes helps provide new shoes for countless needy people and their families. You can find more info at sharpshoes.org.